give 22 a shot on your own first. I'm going to first show you the best way to do this, and then I will show you other approaches, some of which are not going to be the best approach. So we have these two groups of seals. We got 240 seals from one island and 120 from the other. We know the average or the mean length of the 240 seals was 88 inches, and the average for the other group was 94 inches. And so we want to put these two groups together and find the overall average for that combined group. The formula we want to use here on these problems where we're combining different groups to recalculate an average looks something like this. The mean times the count equals the total. This is just a rearrangement of, you take the total or the sum, you divide by the count to get the mean. So this is just a rearrangement of that formula, something special. But what it puts the attention on is the total, because we're going to be able to use the total, in this case, the total number of inches in each of these groups, to combine into a larger group, and then from there recalculate the average. So for the first group, the average was 88, and the count is the number of seals in the group, which is 240. So if I find that product, I get 21,120. For the other group, it's going to be 94 inches, and there's 120 of those seals, so 94 times 120. So we get 11,280. Let's add these totals together, because when I combine these groups, I'm also combining their total number of inches to get an overall total. So 21,120 plus 11,280 gets me 32,400. Now, how would I calculate the mean inches, the mean length for this group? Well, it's just using the typical formula, right? I've got the total number of inches. It's 32,400. The count is just the total number of seals in this combined group, which is now 360. And now I just put this in my calculator. So 32,400 divided by 360, and I get 90. So the new average is 90. The new mean is 90, and that gets us choice B. The typical approach that someone might take if they get this one wrong is to try to average the averages. It seems tempting that if the average of the one group is 88 and the average of the other group is 94, that I could just take the 88 and the 94, add them together, divide by 2, right? Can I just average those averages? Well, I would do that and I get 91, which unfortunately for us would be choice C, but I can't do that. And I think when we look at the previous approach, we see why we can't do that. We have a different number of seals in each of these groups. When we just do 88 plus 94 divided by 2, it's like we're treating the groups as if they're equivalent, that they're equally weighted, as we'll talk about in a minute. But they're not, right? I've got more of the 240 gray seals than I got more in that group with the 88 inches length than the 94 inch group. So what does this mean? It means 91's not right. It would be right if we had equal numbers of seals in each group. Then yes, it's just right in the middle. But since I've got more in this group, I would expect the average to be closer to 88, right? Here's 88, here's 94. We're trying to find sort of where's the average of them combined. Well, it's something between 88 and 94. 91 would be if they're exactly equal, the total numbers of seals in each group. But since we have more of the 88s, we would expect the answer to be closer to 88 than to 94. And if you remember that our answer is B, that checks out. So another way to do this, I think, this approach we looked at here is what I prefer. But if you prefer a weighted average instead, that can totally work. So what we're going to do is we're essentially going to do this calculation, but we're going to appropriately weight the values according to the number of seals in each group. So for example, we take our 88, and what we're going to do is we're going to multiply it by a fraction that is going to weight that 88 according to the number of seals that have that average. So there's 240 seals in that group out of the total of 360. So we're basically going to take that 88, multiply it by 240 over 360, which is 2/3 actually. And that will appropriately adjust the average to the sort of proportion of seals out of that total, right? The proportion of seals with average length of 88 out of the total. And we're going to do the same thing to the 94. This time we're going to multiply it by 120 over 360, right? Because we're going to weight that 94 according to the fact that I've got 120 seals out of that group. And when I sum these results, we'll get our new average. We'll get our weighted average, as it's called. So 88 times 240 divided by 360 plus 94 times, let's do parentheses just to be careful, 120 divided by 360, close parentheses, equals, I add it all up, and we get 90, which was our answer before. If you think about it, though, if you kind of look at what we did here, notice something kind of interesting. If I rewrite this as 88 times 240 plus 94 times 120 all over 360, right? They've got that common denominator of 360. I take a look at this, I realize, you know what? This is exactly what we did in the first step, right? We multiplied those values, we found the sum, and we divided that by 360, right? This right here is literally the mean times the count and the mean times the count. It's the exact same thing. So whichever way you like to do it, I like to do it this way here, whatever makes sense for you, but you just got to be very careful not to do a simple re-average of the averages. It's tempting, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So in this case, we get choice B.